Welcome to the very last Coffee with Cannon for 2021. I thought I'd do something different, put my hat on backwards, because every time I look at the newest Coffee with Cannon, it looks like the same one. So maybe I can identify the picture through putting the cap on backwards. So that's what I'm going to do today. I hope I don't offend anyone if that's an anti-Irish thing or whatever. So 2021 is coming to an end. This is the very, very last day, last Coffee with Cannon. Ruth Ann Griffin, hello, how are you? Brian, good afternoon. How are you guys? I was just doing some last minute. Joe Kane's 84, good to see you. Joe Kane, retired captain, NYPD, Finest Financial. We're going to need them soon. The year's over. Got to put those taxes together. Hello, Brian. Happy New Year. I was working on the computer this morning and trying to do some not last minute, but totaling some of the stuff for the year. Betty Spaghetti, Happy New Year's Eve, Happy 2022. I don't think there's going to be too many people watching the ball drop tonight. I think they're cutting it to 15,000 people. I wouldn't want to be there anyway. I've worked it before, and it's not the place that you want to be. Angie Yang, hello everyone, happy and healthy New Year. Good to see you guys. You guys catch our show last night? Phil and I did a little bit of a recap on some of the big stories of the year. And, you wonder, you look at the year ahead, what's going to happen this year? We're going into, February will be 2 years with Joe Murray. How you doing, Joe? Good to, Joe, I haven't spoken to you in a while. I usually call you on the phone at least once every week. I haven't spoken to you in a long time. I hope you're doing well. The ball drop is over. Yeah, I should do a ball drop tonight. I should do a live show and, a ball drop. Coffee with Cannon, except Bailey's with Cannon. The ball drop countdown. So this way we'll all be safe. We'll all be in our own little houses. We won't have to wear masks or any of that stuff. Joe Murray, been busy. Hey, that's a good thing, being busy, Joe. The opposite's not so good. Joe Kane, missed last night, so we'll catch up later. Hi, Joe Murray. Glad you recovered. That's from Joe Kane. Aunt Bibi, Happy New Year, everyone. Angela Eng. Angie, we're getting some strangers in the chat lately, huh? You've been busy, I see, as a moderator. Some of these folks are getting a little outrageous, I see, Jitterbug, hello, John R. Bear. Where is Dr. Darren Porcher? Guy disappeared from the scene. I haven't seen the doctor either. He's usually a talking head. He's on every damn channel. Maybe, he's just so busy. He's also a college professor at Pace University. So maybe he's just cut back a little bit so he can relax. Angela Ang, yeah, some trolls, right? Elaine Gersten, Happy New Year from New Jersey. Yeah, Joe Kane. Yeah, see how Joe Murray still gives Joe Kane that respect, calling him boss. Joe's a retired captain. On the NYPD, people below your rank, they give you that respect by calling you boss, which is a sort of a unique thing to the NYPD. It's not. I don't know any other job where people refer to you as boss. Montana Sunsets, Happy New Year's Eve, Sergeant Bill. How are you, man? What's everyone doing tonight for New Year's Eve? I told you guys I'm just having a nice, mellow New Year's Eve. My wife and I are going out to dinner at 7 o'clock, I think it is, to a steakhouse in White Plains. It's already paid for. I got one of those $250 gift cards, unless I get outrageous. A $250 gift card that I can pay for dinner with it. Peter Pranzo, hey, all great police off the cuff chat friends. Lieutenant Pete, what are you and Richella doing for New Year's Eve tonight, Lieutenant Pete? You guys gonna have some crazy Italian food? Because or else I'm driving out there. I may have to drive out to Mount Sinai if you guys got some really good food. Yeah, the New Year's Eve thing, on normal New Year's Eves, they get over 1 million people in Times Square. They're supposedly going to keep it to, Brian, I'm delivering food for DoorDash tonight. Jitterbug, Happy New Year to the police off the cuff family. Yeah, usually in Times Square there's 1 million people because of this whole COVID thing that's just stretching to, into the new year. It's going to be with us in 2022. We're not going to see a Times Square celebration for at least another year. Richella hanging home, first little something with our daughter and grandson, and coming home, sweet home. That's the best place to be for New Year's Eve. In fact, I got to bring in some firewood so it's nice and dry. Although it's not going to get nice and dry in 6 or 8 hours. You're supposed to do that days before, but that's the big thing. It's loaded outside my house, and then I got to carry it in and bring it inside and let it get dry. My sons, when they're at the house, they'd never think of doing that, Mickey Mantle, happy and healthy New Year to you too. Hello, Mr. Mina, love to you in Wales. I believe some family in me. Mum's side are from Wales. That's from Joe Murray. Betty Spaghetti sounds like a good night. Pretty cool. So guys, this is the last Coffee with Cannon for 2021. Hopefully we'll have lots of coffees with Cannon in 2022. And last time I was in Times Square was September 2001, just before 9/11. K.H. Walker. The only people that really want to be in Times Square are tourists, because they don't really know about Times Square. They don't know what we know. And we know that it's no place to be on New Year's Eve, yeah. Richella, you guys have a nice toasty gas fireplace. We're too old to be carrying firewood. I know, me too. But I haul it in from outside. Excuse me, let it get dry. So, tell us a New Year's Eve story from being a sergeant. One of my memories was when the first time I ever did New Year's Eve. I don't think I was a sergeant. I think I may have been a cop, and I think I was there with street crime. And everywhere, all over the place, people were robbing people. It was like unbelievable. I mean, there were robberies going down right in front of you. It was like crazy. And a lot of times they would put street crime in the crowd to see what was going on in these crowds. And it was crazy, New Year's Eve. Back in the day, it was crime. There was so much crime during New Year's Eve. And then somehow they got it together, both through smart security, not allowing people coming in, limiting the amount of people that were allowed into the inner perimeter once those, what do they call them, pens. Once those pens were filled up, they didn't allow any more people coming in. And that's smart, Betty Spaghetti, Happy New Year to all you guys, and thank you guys for all the energy you put into the community, including these YouTube communities. Like, this is a great way to create good things between cops and the community, sure. John R. Bear, carjacking is up, listen to the PD scanner. Everything is up, everything is up. Progressive politics and crime do not mix, No, it's not a French hat. I just turned my Irish hat around, so I could tell this was my last Coffee with Cannon for the year. Cheers, guys. And as you know, this is just my mug. I don't have any coffee in it. And the old dipped in butter on the other side. Staying warm and cozy at home, Montana sunsets. Rich Carver. John R. Bear doesn't want to get me started. Yeah. They let me loose on News Nation, and they were talking about Lieutenant Pete. I was there I was there in 1988, I believe it was. I got promoted in 1989, so I don't think I was there. Jimmy Calandra, wishing you all the people in the chat a blessed new year to come. You too, Jimmy. Great to see you, buddy. And I'm so happy that your podcast is doing so well. It's really exciting to have you on as a guest, and we're going to do it again in 2022. If you want to come on our show, you're welcome. You have an open invite. Crystal Champion, Angela Ang, Joe Murray, hello again. Joe and Angie, they got to do another show. Where's the Allegedly Guilty podcast? I haven't seen it up recently. Jane Whitehead, cheers to you too. Joe Murray's podcast is called Allegedly Guilty. It's Allegedly Guilty, and he'll be back in 2022. We told Joe when he started, and of course he's a busy attorney, so he's busy as all hell. Crystal Champion, Happy New Year to you also. We told Joe how tough and how busy it is to do a podcast, and he believed us, but now he knows for sure. And Angie is burning the midnight oil. Who do you think's doing all that work? All the prep work? You think it's Joe? No, it's Angie. Angie's behind the scenes, right? But I think Joe's got a lot of trials coming up, trials and tribulations. He's got a lot of clients. So that's his main function, being an attorney, right? So he's got to take care of that. There's the Allegedly Guilty, where you can subscribe to them on YouTube. Aunt BB, how are you? A lot of people haven't woken up. I think there's only like 28 people in the chat. Where's all my folks from Great Britain, Ireland, Australia, South Africa? Where are you guys? Coffee with Cannon, the last one of 2021. Don't anyone shed any tears. I don't want to see any tears. C.R. Patrick, hat to the back. That's right. Hope that doesn't mean anything. I hope it's a good omen to have your hat turned around. I just had to be able to spot the last, when I look at the little picture that's on the YouTube, I can spot the very last Coffee with Cannon for the year by seeing that I'm wearing my hat backwards. So yeah, that's the only reason I did it. There's no ulterior motive and no different type of meaning. So Jimmy Calandra's going to stay home with his family cooking. Jimmy, all the smart guys, all the tough guys know, stay home New Year's Eve. Be with your family. Bring in the New Year's with a happy New Year, right? It was a song when you were young, C.R. Patrick. Vicella Pranzo, looking cool, Bill. Thank you so much, guys. And, you know, all you guys in the chat, all you folks that joined me for these Coffee with Cannon episodes, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you. This is almost like therapy for me. And some folks actually say it's therapy for them, too, to sit around and talk. Emily King, Sayonara 2021. You know, I don't know if I don't really watch the ball drop anymore, you know. I hope 2022 is dipped in butter, Trish Norman. That would be a great omen if 2022 is dipped in butter, for sure. Sarah Monson, Happy New Year's from Tennessee. That's great, absolutely. Laugh out loud, John R. Bear. Yeah, dipped in butter is, you know, it's a good omen. It's not a bad omen, it's a good omen. And especially if it's that Irish butter, right? That's for sure. So anyone doing anything unusual for New Year's Eve tonight, if you're doing something out of the ordinary, put it in the chat. Let us know what you're doing, you know, because I think the smartest ones of us are staying home, you know. Janice, the Roman god of New Year's, has two faces, facing forward and facing back, like your hat. Wow, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, it's. I like to look forward. I don't like to look back. You get a lot of people. Rich Carver, dipped in butter, the greatest catchphrase of 2021. Thank you, Rich. Gene Whitehead was going to go out with friends, but had message from them that one has tested positive. I mixed with them 3 days ago, so fingers crossed I'll be okay. So no, now we'll be staying home. That's another reason to stay home today, you know. Cannon, make that coffee to go. I don't know if we could do a coffee with Cannon to go. I've done them in my car when I want to be super warm because it's a little cool out here today. Duty runs the master at that. He does those shows in his car, and he just sits there, and he's just he's really good at it. We'll wave to y'all from Trafalgar Square, Mickey Mantle. Cool, very cool. There's across the world. There's always those cameras that show people in different parts of the world celebrating New Year's, and of course, in different parts of the world, the New Year comes in at different times, right? That's right, Lieutenant Pete, racks and butter for 2022, you know, that's right. Sometimes I don't make it to watch the ball drop anymore. That used to be a big thing when I was younger, but I don't, you know, it's not that important to me to make it that the ball dropped, you know. And then people, the hosts, whoever they are, what was it, who were the hosts last year? CNN. what's his name again? Can't think of his name. Uh, Anderson Cooper, right? Anderson Cooper and Andy. I can't think of his last name. They were the hosts, and they talk about what's important to them, not what's important to us. Gene Whitehead loves to hear Big Ben chime. That's that big clock in London, right? Ryan Seacrest used to do it. He was pretty good at it. Austrians live in the future. I think it's already 2022 for them. You ever have friends? I have lots of friends, but I have friends that like to live in the past. I have a lot of friends that like want to talk about high school. And those days are, so far gone. I mean, if that was the greatest time of your life, I mean, that's okay. I'm not putting it down, but I think you got to live more in the present and think of shit. For me, 2025, I'll be out of high school. 50 years. 50 years. Can you imagine that? I graduated 1975 from Levittown Memorial High School on Long Island. So some folks, for them, that was the greatest time of their life. And they want to go back there, They want to go back to those days, and they want to relive some of and actually go back to our town and photograph the high school, photograph the football field, the lacrosse field, the baseball field. And they get all emotional about it, And I think people sometimes with New Year's, and what's the first thing people always say? Oh, who did we lose in 2021? You always, Rochella, you and Lieutenant Pete graduated in 1964. Wow, that was the heat of the Vietnam War back then too. How did you avoid getting drafted and go? I remember I had my draft card, and I mean, we used to get draft cards for you youngins. They used to send you a draft card, and if your number came up, guess where you were going? You were going to Vietnam. Yes. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York, I want to wake up in a city that doesn't sleep and find out. I can't sing the whole thing. I know I started in too high a key. C.R. Patrick, Happy New Year to you and Mrs. Cannon and the young Cannons. They're not so young anymore. My sons are 26, and the older one's going to be 30 in April. Wow. 30 years old. Time just flies, That's what should be really more of your focus. That song, New York, New York, it plays every time a police academy class graduates in the NYPD. At least it did at my graduation. Yeah, it was Frank Sinatra, of course, New York, New York, And every police academy graduation, that song plays, So, Joe Murray, I see in the chat, is talking about his boxing career when he fought the Bobbies in London. Did you win, Joe? What a great ambassadors for the NYPD boxing team was, Peter Pranzo, his older brother, was in Vietnam, gave me a couple of years till the NYPD. Christine Robinson, I'm 57, my 8 children range from 25 to 35, 7 grandchildren, wow. 8 children. I was one of 8 kids. I was the third oldest of 8 kids. That was back when not all, but lots of families on Long Island, especially Levittown. John Lloyd Schaff. Alec Baldwin should have been indicted for homicide. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the new year, Vespa Q, Happy New Year, Sergeant Bill and everyone. Guys, cheers. Coffee with Cannon. Great to have all you guys in the chat. Rochella is 74, soon to be 75 on 2/2/22, and so excited about that date. Wow, you got to play those numbers, Rochella. 2/2/22, my God. That's great. Yeah, Joe Murray was a PBA boxing team and great ambassadors for the NYPD. I mean, just think about what it's like to train and be in shape to box and still work the crazy hours we work on the police department. I had a great kid on who was in my anti-crime who was on the PBA boxing team. His name was Joe Cintron, little Spanish guy, nicest guy in the world. In anti-crime, he was the best follow guy I've ever had. He could blend in, he could follow anyone, and they would never make him as a cop. And Joey was a pretty damn good boxer, too. And later on, Joey made sergeant. Joey's a good dude. If you're listening, Joe, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all of that stuff. And I know you're good buddies with Joe Murray, too. You guys are on the same boxing team. I don't know if Joe was able to drink as much beer as Joe Murray. Joe Murray says Joey Cintron was an amazing fighter. He went to the Nationals. Wow. Joey's great. Yeah, great guy, man. I talked to him recently, 6 months ago. Super guy. And as I said, he was a great anti-crime cop. Loved having him in my team. Great guy. Betty Spaghetti's on the air. So, yeah, it'd be a cool show with the boxing fights, past and present. I wish we had some of the videos of the PBA boxers, you know. They would also fight the fire department. The FDNY, NYPD fights the fire department. I know the NYPD has a football team too, and they play the fire department every year. And I think usually the NYPD beats the fire department in football. One of the reasons is they have way more people to choose from. The fire department, I think, has 10 or 12,000 firemen, and the NYPD has like 36,000 cops to choose from to play football. So it's like a bigger school playing a smaller school. For Sakes Alive, Bill. That's great, For Sakes Alive. Love that name. Yeah, they have a NYPD running club. They run the marathon every year. Some really good runners on the NYPD. Look, there's some really good everything on the NYPD. When you get 36,000 people in one job, you're bound to have a load of doctors, lawyers, tradesmen, athletes, runners, football players, boxers, martial artists. You're going to have all of it, you know. Having a gamut. So how many of you guys are so happy to see this boob, de Blasio, go? Anyone not happy to see de Blasio go? If you're happy to see de Blasio go, give me the clapping emoji. Put that clapping emoji up there if you're happy to see the this communist mayor go, and now he thinks he's going to run for governor. You know, he got less than 1% when he ran for president. You think he didn't learn his lesson? I think, people are saying that there's some emojis, HAL 9000, Zigzag, Ground Zero, Ruth Ann Griffin, For Sakes Alive. Everyone's, the documentary about New York Marathon is really cool if you haven't seen it. Margaret Hearn, Montana Sunsets. Yeah. C.R. Patrick doesn't even live in New York, and she's happy to see de Blasio go. Let's hope he doesn't come to a town near you. That's the last thing you would want, right? Nashta Corelli, Quebec City. Canada's got to be freezing cold this time of year, huh? Depending where you are in Canada. Yeah, so we also as of tomorrow, we'll have a brand new mayor, Eric Adams, who happens to be a retired NYPD captain. And he's talking a good game as far as going after crime. He's talking about reinstituting anti-crime, which in my mind is a great thing. He's talking about making it easier for cops to do stop, question, and frisk, which has been like a dirty word for the last 2 or 3 years. And when a cop makes a stop these days, Elizabeth Lenahan, Happy New Year, Bill, to you and your family. You too, Sarah. Single Mama 4, that's right. Nashta Corelli, thanks for those clapping emojis. And then we should get some prayer emojis that Eric Adams is a better mayor than this guy de Blasio. It's not going to be hard to do, since this guy was a horror. I think he's recognized by many as the worst mayor in the history of New York City. So let's hope that Adams is going to be a much better mayor. As I said, we didn't notice during the whole Bloomberg was mayor of New York City for 12 years. He actually passed a law during his last term that would allow him to have another 4 years. It was crazy, you know. And the law passed, and Bloomberg was mayor for 12 years. Can you imagine that? 12 years. And you know something? After having him and then seeing de Blasio, you would want Bloomberg to come back, you know. Rick Van Leuven, stop, question, and frisk was one of the best tools we had back in the day. 100%, 100% it is. You need to stop people. You need to engage people. You need to do proactive police work. But they're coming up with this new thing too, and I read a little bit about it with it. They have to fill out almost, when they do a car stop, the equivalent of filling out a stop, question, and frisk report. And basically what they're accusing the officers of is bias in their car stops. What if you work in a community that has all of one racial group? Are you still going to be judged that you're just pulling over a certain racial group? I mean, it sounds crazy, you know. Guys, Coffee with Cannon, the last one of the year. Thank you guys so much. Our motto, dipped in butter. We got some really good shows coming up in the new year. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a detective, retired detective, Gil Carrillo. And he is from the LAPD, and he had the Night Stalker case. And I've been in contact with him, trying to get him on the show. And he's supposed to call me on January 2nd. And we'll talk on the phone, because one of the problems is, even though he had that case, the Night Stalker, because of some kind of TV or movie contractual obligations, he's not allowed to talk about it. So I'm like, the greatest thing he did in his career, and one of the reasons I would have him on Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories, is that case. But even without that case, he had a spectacular career. So I want to talk to him on the phone and see if there's other things that we could talk about. You know, Phil and I could talk to anyone for an hour, you know. But Gil Carrillo, he actually had, I think, a 37-year career with the LAPD, and he had the Night Stalker case. And not only that, he retired as a lieutenant. So he moved up the ranks outside of being a detective, and then, of course, he ran a detective squad. So it's funny how you can come in contact with lots of these people. Betty Spaghetti, yet many serial killers can give hours-long recorded interviews. It's not that. I think Betty Spaghetti, I think he's contractually locked in with one of these TV shows or whatever not to talk about it, which is, yeah, for me it sucks, because I think it would be a great conversation. And who better to interview a detective than other guys that have done the same type of work, you know? And I think it could be a really exciting show. Police Stories on New Year's Day sounds about right. Yeah, the Oxygen Network with retired NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce is doing a show about homicide in New York City. So that's going to be on, I think, the first of the year they're going to show it. K.H. Walker, Police Off the Cuff. I like it best when you tell your own war stories. Yeah, we got some great stories, but we like to bring in guests so we're not just self-indulgent in telling, you know, lots of people, any cop you meet in New York City, any cop you meet anywhere has war stories. And how do you separate the real good war stories from just the average everyday war stories? You know, everyone thinks that their war stories are the best, of course, because it's their stories, you know. Betty Spaghetti, more emphasis should go on first responders and officers instead of the murderers. Yeah, you're right. However, the interest is in, so many people are interested in serial killers. It's crazy. I'm hearing someone walking on the road. I see them walking, you know. You know, so many people, serial killers, you know, the Jeffrey Dahmers, the John Wayne Gacy's. People are just fascinated with serial killers. And to tell you the truth, serial killers these days are quite rare. Because of the technology we have, no one gets to be a serial killer, thank God, because usually they get caught after the first one, or at very most the second one. So Elizabeth Lenahan at home in New Jersey spending New Year's in bed with COVID. I'm sorry to hear that, Elizabeth. I hope you healed fast and it's not too uncomfortable for you. Sarah H., shopping cart killer. You know, Sarah, we had a shopping cart killer in New York City in 1990, the late 90s, and his name was Aaron Key. And he was killing young girls and dumping their bodies in the stairwells of housing projects as well as the roof of a housing project. And he was not just a serial murderer, he was a serial rapist too. And he was called the shopping cart killer because he would, after he killed the bodies, he would throw them in a shopping cart, cover them with all kinds of stuff, and then wheel them to a housing project. So when I saw that recent case where they called that realtor the shopping cart killer, they stole the name of the Aaron Key, who was a true shopping cart killer in New York City in 1997, I believe it was. I just got transferred in 1997 from the 2-4 robbery unit to the 2-3 robbery unit, which is Spanish Harlem. And when I got there, they were working on this serial murder case with Aaron Key. And you know, they always tell you when you're a cop or a detective, don't ever talk about cases in the squad when there's a prisoner inside the cell. And sure enough, one day they were discussing the case, and he was in the cell for an unrelated matter. And they were talking about the case, that he was the perp. He was the murderer, and they were talking about the case. So here he was, you know, almost like, what do they call that, countermeasures. He knew what the police had now, and he knew what to avoid and what not to do and what to do. So they always tell you, don't ever talk about a case in front of a potential perpetrator. Norma Conway, Happy New Year from Indiana. Love you guys. Thank you, Norma. Great to see you. New Year's Eve will be coming at different times for people all over the country. And we just hope everyone has the Iceman. What a monster, yeah. That guy is, you could see when they interview him, he's out of his mind, that guy. He's really just a nutcase, you know. John Antis, Happy New Year's from Bensonhurst. I'll hoist one for you at the homestead tonight. Cool. Very cool. Hoist one. Cheers. I'll toast you with my Poland Spring right now. But you know, would you consider mafia hitmen serial killers? Sammy the Bull, you know, was credited, that sounds like a good thing. He went on 19 hits, 19 murders he went on. Whether he actually pulled the trigger, he could be charged acting in concert, and the FBI cut him a deal, right? Joel Rifkin, Joe Murray, you're right, you know something, Bob Mladenich went to high school with Joel Rifkin. Bob Mladenich, who works, he's a writer, retired detective, actor. He wrote a book on Joel Rifkin, and he went to high school with him. How crazy is that, right? Crystal Champion, Iceman was so horrible he scared his associates. That guy was just, when you see his interviews, he just is so, seems like he has no soul, you know? He kills people and doesn't, you know. They asked him, why'd you kill that guy? He goes, I didn't like what he said to me. And I got mad, so I killed him. That's how he speaks. You know, monotone, like killing someone is just matter of fact, you know. Yes, I killed him because he threatened me, you know. It's crazy. Maui Swift, hello. Good to see you. They say a lot is what? Betty Spaghetti, they should be charged with serial murder. I think many believe only sexual motivation is to blame for serial killers, but I think it's really power. Maui Swift, fabrication. So the mob guys, though, you know, it's like we spoke to Larry Mazza, who did a lot of hits, and of course we spoke to Sammy the Bull. And they really believe, like, the whole Cosa Nostra thing, you know, our thing. You too, Maui. Happy New Year to you. I hope you have a great night, you enjoy yourself, and a wonderful 2022. Like we spoke to Larry Mazza, and he spoke about the war between two families in the mafia. And they actually really believed that they were soldiers fighting this war. Then they sort of justified killing people because they were on the other side. They were the different army. They were wearing a different uniform, you know? It's sort of a strange thing, right? Yeah, it's very strange. But Betty Spaghetti, Scott Peterson has a new trial coming up in 2022 because of a juror misconduct in 2003. Peter Gordon, shout out to Police Off the Cuff. Cheers. Police Off the Cuff, Coffee with Cannon. This is the last one. Yeah, criminal morality, justifying your conduct, right? Justifying bad acts, because that's the only way maybe you can live with it, you know, that you justify bad behavior. Peterson's a monster, single mom of 4, cool. Happy New Year, Jitterbug, to all the Police Off the Cuff family. Marlene Barone. Larry Mazza, The Life. Yeah, I read the book. Larry wrote that too. He wrote that himself. Joe Murray, there's the attorney in him. Redemption is a good thing. Joe's always looking for more clients, so if he can get redemption, he's got a new client, you know. Joe always sees things a little bit differently than us, you know, but that's okay, because he walked the walk once. He was once, what do the Indians call it? Human being. He was once a human being. In all vernacular, he was once a member of the service. He was once on the NYPD. We are the NYPD. So, I pardon you, Joe. You got redemption on this one. So, guys, again, Happy New Year. Joe's been in custody too, so he knows what it feels like to have those bracelets on. Betty Spaghetti, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Joe is NYPD tough, that's for sure. Crystal Champion, God bless everyone. And guys, just, you know, have a nice, safe New Year's Eve. Be careful if you're driving. There's a lot of wackos out there, you know. It's one of the reasons I like to go out early for dinner before people have a chance to get their load on. There's a guy making the rounds named Anthony Mundy from the Colombo family. He makes all kinds of wild claims. I don't know him. You know, a lot of these guys. C.R. Patrick, thank you so much for the $4 super sticker. I don't know all these guys. There's all these guys that are claiming to be like hitmen and, you know, made guys. And, you know, like Tommy Dades, who we had on the show last week, he's like a mob encyclopedia. You ask him about people that claim to be made guys, and like, he wasn't a made guy, and he'll tell you the real deal. Emily King, thank you for the £4 super chat. Thank you so much. Coach, happy healthy New Year, Bill, and you and your family. Nashta Corelli, blessed be, Police Off the Cuff. Thank you, guys. Ruth Ann Griffin, happy New Year, everyone. Be safe. Vesper Q, staying home safe and sound. Yeah, I think that's the best place to be on New Year's Eve, you know. K.H. Walker, cheers. Have a great New Year's Eve. Photo Flies Photography, carve it up from Indiana. Cool. I haven't heard anything. Maui Swift, thank you so much for $13.99 super chat. I haven't heard anything about Ed Wallace. In fact, I intend to give Duty Ron a call once I get off Coffee with Cannon today. I want to give him a call and find out how Ed Wallace is doing, how he's doing, how his family's doing. Phil Grimaldi just, you know, he just had this too, and he's just getting over it. If you watched the show last night, he was coughing up a bit, you know. But hopefully he's at the end of this, and it's will be behind him shortly. We hope it'll be behind him. And I hope it's behind the whole world soon. I mean, this has really been a horror for the whole world. Did you see like the cruise ships were starting to come back, and now they say, don't you dare get on a cruise ship right now. Think of what that does to the industry, you know? No, I don't think Rich Cobb, I don't think he's related to Chris Wallace. Lieutenant Pete, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you. Happy New Year from you and Richella. I really appreciate that. Phil is NYPD strong. Dip in the New Year in butter. Photo Flies Photography. Complicated. Let's heard he was still having a hard time. That sucks, you know. Especially when you have what they call comorbidities, where you have other things wrong with you. and it can complicate matters. It's a horror, you know, this whole virus. Nasha Corelli, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Happy New Year, Police Off the Cuff. Keep up your good work. Thank you, mods. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support throughout the year, and thank you for your continued support into 2022. We have some great things planned. You know, you always got to take chances and try different things. Try something different. You know, I want to try to get on the guy who wrote Blue Bloods, the book. He worked as a speechwriter for the current police commissioner. So he should be getting out of that job in a while. So I'd like to get him on. Heather McDonald, a great writer. She's a conservative writer. She's written a book called The War on Police. I reached out to her people, and hopefully she's going to get back to me. I would love to have her come on. A bunch of writers that I would really like to have on the show because they have a different perspective, and I would love to get some of those folks. And of course, thank you, KH Walker. We love having you as one of our supporters. I like to get people with different perspectives, and you know, people that write books. They have a little bit of an insight into other things besides law enforcement, and I like doing that. I like having the experience of interviewing people outside of law enforcement because we have a certain perspective, and some of those folks have a different perspective. Guys, you know something? I'm at 42, almost 42 minutes. How does the time go by so quickly? This is the last. Betty Spaghetti, Diversity of Thought. Hello, Tax Cut. Hello, Streamer. This is the last Coffee with Cannon for 2021. I don't want to see any tears running down anyone's faces. You know, Peter Gordon, I'm hoping Eric Adams will be a good mayor. I really do. I'm rooting for him because we can't have another bad mayor like we had this guy for 8 years. And Eric Adams is saying the right things. Let's see what happens. You know, let's see if he is good. I know Joe Murray knows Eric Adams. He's spoken to him before, and he's written an article about Eric Adams. So I'm hoping and praying that Eric Adams will be a better mayor than de Blasio. It's not a high bar to be a better mayor than de Blasio, but let's hope he brings back New York City to being the greatest city in the world again, and to being the safest large city in the world again, because it's not any longer. And many changes have to occur before that happens. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye right now. God bless everyone. Have a wonderful New Year's Eve. Would I do a show with Frank Serpico? Yes, but I don't even know if Frank Serpico is pretty damn old these days, you know? Yeah, I would do it, Frank Serpico. He's not my number one choice. There's a lot of other people I would have on before him, but, you know, it's Ruth Ann Griffin, bring back law and order. 100% we need to bring back law and order. Sarah H., Betty Spaghetti, Lieutenant Pete and Richella, thank you guys so much. Ruth Ann Griffin, all those blue hearts. Guys, every time I try to say goodbye, someone comes up with a new thing in the chat, tries to keep me here. So guys, have a great day. Happy New Year. God bless. Health and happiness to you and your family for 2022.